I built the first Java development team in Europe for IBM's research labs when I left university. There were a variety of challenges along the way, but the one that sticks with me most was the technology. We had silos everywhere. The technology was not joined up. It was hideous. One of the toughest battles was actually trying to get a true understanding of what our global community actually looked like and what they really needed from us.
Example were battling with cancer or maybe
Yep.
it's couch potatoes. Like we need to go out.
I'm working. Yeah. I'm working on a few things around there. A good friend of mine called me after diagnosis and said, "I'm not worried about you, James. You're going to be okay. You're a tough chap to kill." And I very much embodied that ever since. Tough chap to kill. It's not about playing it safe. It's about pushing boundaries, standing tall, refusing to be anything less than unstoppable.
Welcome to the Priceless Conversation, a podcast that we navigate through the art and science of product management, automation, AI, and pricing. We do this with a mix of wit, wisdom, and an occasional dashboard war related story. I'm Satya, a scientist who found her way into product management and leadership. And yes, I still use research, data, and connect a lot of dots to solve problems.
Thanks, Satya. Welcome to the Priceless Conversations, where we explore uh, the art and science of product management through transformative ideas and amazing, authentic stories. I'm Amit, a fractional CPO. I build dashboards, I destroy unnecessary features, and your guide through the weird, wonderful, and wildly frustrating world of product management. Deans, welcome.
Thank you, Seth. Glad to be here.
You've had an incredible journey, tech recruiting, founding Mind the Product, and now meet up to the millions. How do you define yourself today?
Today, as much as anything, I'm a starter. I start many different things. I have started a recruitment business. I've started a SaaS platform. I've been involved in starting an event business. I'm going back to starting a SaaS business next.
Yes.
I get bored easily. I like to start many things, and I am resilient.
Well, one of the things people admire about you is your authenticity. What's one thing people don't know about you that they should?
Let's go back to the very start of my career, shall we?
Yeah.
I built the first Java development team in Europe for IBM's research labs when I left university.
Well, so tech room through recruiting, founding Mind the Product, and building the first Java team. Oops. That's
I
amazing.
built the I built the first Java development team in Europe. Yeah.
I, I would also like to take you back your early days, let's say before Mind the Product, right? Before you
Of
started
course.
this mind blowing global community, one of the largest product communities. What was your first experience like to build a community where people haven't
I
heard the phenomena?
yeah. Mine the Product was the first community I was involved in building. Before that, I'd been to a community event for recruiters, run by a legend of the tech recruiting industry, Bill Ballman. He'd started these bar camp style events. I wasn't involved in the organization, but I attended the very first one, and it was somewhat chaotic. But more than anything, it was authentic. People turned up because they wanted to meet other people in the same industry, to share conversations and to learn. And that for me was immense. It just felt incredibly valuable. And I knew that I wanted to do more in that space.
Wow. Interesting. So you've been into communities for a while, and we started with the companies and communities and recruitment, and you transitioned from recruit to product communities. So, was there a defining moment when you realized that, okay, mind the product is my calling?
It was probably the third or fourth Product Tank meetup that I went to, very early Product
Okay.
Tank in London. And I saw a lady standing on her own at the back of the room. And I went over to her and said, I don't think I've seen you here before. Is this your first time at Product Tank? And she said, Yeah, this is my first. And I said, How did you find it? And she said, This has been fantastic. It's been like therapy.
Was that
Okay.
Hannah?
It wasn't, it was somebody else, but her reflection on spending an evening with other product people and being able to share their stories, listen to each other's pain. She said that for her was like therapy. Now, we've all heard enough about therapy to know that therapy can be life changing for those who really need it. So maybe communities really are that valuable in the professional space. And at that point, I was very clear, yes, this was something I wanted to spend more time and energy doing.
So if we zoom in more on mind the product and the product and journey, it started in London, and
Mm.
I'm here thousands of kilometers away, organizing events in Pune, Hyderabad, Bengaluru with Amit, and we started this. Um,
Oh, I spoke to somebody from Taipei today, by the way.
it's across it's across the world, and we all know that in the product, starting is still easy, scaling up is hard. What was the hardest part that you found in building the product community across the world?
There were a variety of challenges along the way, but the one that sticks with me most was the technology. The meetup started on Meetup. The conferences, we had ticket sales on Eventbrite. Then we had mailing lists to keep in touch with people on MailChimp. Then we had content on YouTube, Vimeo. We had a WordPress site for some of the content. Then we had another WordPress site for a job board. We had silos everywhere. The technology was not joined up. It was hideous. One of the toughest battles was actually trying to get a true understanding of what our global community actually looked like and what they really needed from us.
Wow. So, okay, so does this mean that in this year new venture rodeo, uh, we are building technology grounds up, or that is one thing you're getting right? Uh, how does it build on the lessons of mind the product, and where do you see it going?
I think one of the biggest lessons for me of Mind the Product was also an eye opening moment about one of the advantages of doing anything in the events industry. One of the things I got to hear about constantly with the Mind the Product events was speakers saying to product managers in a room, you don't spend enough time talking to your customers. I think that is very true of the likes of Meetup and Eventbrite. They don't listen to what customers truly need. And when you organize events, you're in the room with your customers the whole time.
Yeah.
Discovery is so important. It is done so poorly. And yet, if you're building software for events, there is no excuse for that. You can turn up at any event that's been organized on your software and talk to the customers. You can talk to the organizers, the attendees, the speakers, the sponsors. There's so much opportunity to learn.
Yeah, we've been organizing Product Tank, and we've seen acquisition is high. People do come to the first meetup, but then there is drastic fall in the second, third, and the fourth meetup, and there's very little you can do in terms of tools today. So
Yeah.
we've been doing a lot of analysis on how to get better. But yes, there's definitely a lot, much scope. And yes, we are on Meetup, we're on LinkedIn, we're on WhatsApp, and a dozen other platforms. And still, we don't know our users.
Yeah. There is no
Yeah.
good answer yet. So I hope to change that.
Yeah, we're looking forward for radio. Yes.
We are getting a little serious, okay? I would like to lighten the moment. I need to you love sourdough, or you have like a passion for it. Where did
Absolutely.
it start? Like, yeah, where did it start? Because I also make sourdough and made quite a lot during the lockdown when there was no ready. But yeah, I would love to know what brought you to the sourdough.
And can we get served the recipe today?
Well, the first thing to confess is that I didn't start it. My partner did. The very beginning of lockdown, she heard that people were getting into sourdough baking and she said, I'll do this too. This sounds fun. And about a week in, she realized, I have to feed this every day. This is not going to happen. So she was about to get rid of it, and I took it over and said, okay, I'm going to take this over. And what I found through lockdown was that I was working at home every day, same room, same desk. I'd sit at my desk, stare at my screen for 8 hours. Terrible. It's not good for your mental or physical health to sit and stare at a screen for 8 hours. What I discovered was starting to bake a loaf first thing in the morning. You'd then come back an hour later, do the next mix. Come back an hour later, do some stretches and some folds. Come back an hour later, a little more.
Yeah.
An hour later, to shape it, put it in a basket. So what I found was that once every hour, I had a structured reason every hour for a 5-minute break. Not just that, it would be a break where I'd get up and I would do something with my hands. I would do something manual as opposed to looking at a digital screen and engaging with disembodied voices over Zoom. Some people find they get to decompress with painting or drawing or making music. I wasn't doing much of any of those at that point, but the idea of getting up and baking something, it was using my hands. It's a different set of brainwaves. So I could bake for 2 minutes in the kitchen, do a task, go back to my desk. Mentally, I would feel refreshed.
Yeah. There was also kombucha I discovered during that time. But good, they didn't go to the kombucha side.
Have you
I
tried?
stuck with the sourdough. No, I've not tried kombucha. I stuck with the sourdough, but I do use it for more and more things. So making banana breads or using the thickening stews.
I tried making burger buns with sourdough. They
Yeah.
they were
Hey, one thing I'm glad is that both of you guys have stick to it as your passion and as your private project and not, made it into like every tech entrepreneur that, okay, I can bake sourdough, let me start sa- uh, a business out of it or a website out of it. So yeah, good that you keep it to your passion. But did you
Fun.
feel sometime that you want to probably start a online sourdough baking thing
Not at all.
or no?
Not at all. I've always enjoyed cooking. And during lockdown, I shared a few things on Facebook, as you do. And I'd have friends say to me, you should open a restaurant. We'll be there. And my response was always no. I enjoy this because I'm cooking for me, my family, maybe some friends. The moment I start cooking for customers, that becomes a job.
Yeah.
This is just something I do for fun.
But we would love to come to your restaurant and taste sourdough beef.
Well, I'm going to open a restaurant right next to a tech firm. It's got a
Yeah.
full of HR managers and product managers, and the restaurant will be called The Stakeholder.
Hmm. Yeah. Yes. Uh, sometimes, we kind of, I really like, James, how you've been open about your journey, uh, be that baking sourdough or be that about your battle fighting with cancer. I really like your t-shirt, one of the t-shirts you had that cancer fucked with the wrong guy.
A friend sent that over to me.
Yes. It meant a lot and it touched a lot of, yeah, things. How has that experience reshaped the way you think about work, life, community, and probably a legacy? Because you've built about 200 communities, and every one of us, every time it's on Product Tank, people come up and ask me, hey, who founded and who started Product Tank? And your name comes up.
That's great to hear. I appreciate that. Um, very much. This last year has given me a stronger idea of who I am, what I'm capable of, but it's also made me lean into certain aspects of product thinking a little harder. Um, for example, we talk sometimes in product about the power of clarity and focus, having a North Star, the thing that is the most important, the vision that we're aiming for. We use all these phrases. In my case, when I sat down with my children to explain my medical diagnosis, I said to them, I will beat this. And we'll know I've beaten it when we go to the mountains together and all go skiing. That gave me a very, very clear goal. That clarity of focus was something that helped to carry me through, because not just was I going through treatment, I was also going through treatment and saying, I have to maintain my physical fitness so that when I get through this, we can go and do that.
Yeah.
That focus was crucial, but it gave me a reason to maintain a level of activity right the way through radio and chemo. Um, I recovered a little faster than expected from surgery. Um, they told me I should expect to be in hospital on a high dependency ward for a week and then a regular ward for another 2 weeks. So I could expect 3 weeks in hospital. I was home in 3 days. So, well, the doctors, the specialist said, okay, you clearly recover well from treatment. This is good. We'd like to hit you with radiotherapy and chemotherapy at the same time. It's incredibly tough, but we think you can take it and it works better if we can. Okay, let's go. And they said, you should expect to be at home on your couch for 6 weeks. You'll be so tired, you don't leave your couch. And I was thinking, if I lay on my couch for 6 weeks, when we're done with treatment, I'm not going to be fit enough to go skiing with my kids. I can't lay on the couch for 6 weeks. Let's go.
Yeah.
So I was out twice a week running 5K on the beach.
Wow. That's incredible. Uh, yeah, your journey and which you documented is kind of a motivational to all of us. People, yeah, who are battling with cancer or maybe with couch potatoes. Like we we need to go out.
I'm working I'm working on a few things around there. A good friend of mine called me after diagnosis and said, I'm not worried about you, James. You're going to be okay. You're a tough chap to kill.
Yeah.
And I very much embodied that ever since. Tough chap to kill. It's not about playing it safe. It's about pushing boundaries, standing tall, refusing to be anything less than unstoppable. We are built to endure. We get knocked down, never knocked out. We are tougher than whatever's coming next. That's who we are. That's what we do. You keep that kind of focus in mind, you will be astonished at what you are capable of achieving.
What you've just said is like the ultimate, in my opinion, ultimate definition of resilience. And you have mentioned quite a lot of times that resilience is key for your work, for your personal life. Um, how did you cultivate it? Or did it come naturally to you? Like, what was your way through it?
I think I inherited an awful lot from my mother.
Mhm.
My mother was incredibly resilient from a very young age. She was also incredibly stubborn, which could be difficult from time to time, as I believe I can be too. But I think that stubbornness and resilience can go hand in hand. When somebody says to a founder, this idea won't work, don't do it, and the founder says, I'm going to do it anyway, is that founder stubborn or resilient?
Oh,
They
yeah.
go hand in hand. They go hand in hand.
Is there a difference between being stubborn and resilience?
There is a subtle difference. Resilience suggests that you also have the ability to listen to advice along the way, whereas stubbornness suggests that perhaps you can't. In
I
my
like
case,
when
In
Good.
my case, for the resilience side, I was pairing that with research. So throughout my cancer battle, I was using one of the new AI tools, Perplexity, to research what things can I do with exercise or nutrition to support myself through treatment. There's a film called The Martian where the guy lands on the surface of the planet Mars. The lab blows up. So he has no food,
Mhm.
no equipment, turns to camera and says, "In the face of overwhelming odds, I could draw only one conclusion. I'm going to have to science the shit out of this." That felt like a good approach to me. So I got deep into the research and started to read up on what kind of things I could do physically or with nutrition that might help get me through the year. So is that stubbornness or resilience or maybe a little of both?
A tough nut to crack. Yeah, James.
Survival is my superpower.
I think, so Satya, aren't we all, in a way, a bit stubborn to take up different jobs, to take up different careers? And also, you know, talk about our innermost feeling, the right, uh, talking about this priceless conversations with an audience. So we are probably there. Now we are stubborn. We say that, yes, we can do it. What do you think?
Yes, I think I'm a lot stubborn. Uh, I um, I do not know about resilience. From now for the podcast journey, I think the time will tell. Uh, in other aspects of life, I think I'm more resilient. Right now for podcast, I'm more stubborn. I would say so. Time will tell what I am. Yeah.
Well, James is
Take,
here. So, yeah.
take those knockbacks when you look at the numbers and something isn't quite where you'd hoped it would be. Take that and use it as fuel.
Yeah.
Use that to power you forwards. That is what makes you unstoppable.
Mhm.
Such words of wisdom, James. It's every line you say, it's kind of something we can take back to. And
You
I'm
want one
also,
more then?
yeah,
You want one more line? I'll give you one more line on the resilience topic. You want to be tough to kill? Take life's work. Take life's worst, but answer it with your best.
That's
uh,
incredible.
yes, I'm assuming, and I have my Meetup to Millions copy waiting in London for me. But I'm assuming that you added a lot of this wise, uh, wise words and words of wisdom for us. Is it a
No,
practical guide or is it a reflection of your lived experience? What's one story from the book that you think captures its sense?
I mean, I think probably what a theme that comes out of the book again and again will be that of discovery. The amount of times as Mind the Product that we engaged with an audience at a meetup or a conference or online, learned a new thing that helped us take the business forwards. Discovery was so powerful, constantly being open to those conversations, constantly being open to new information. So with the book, it's a few things. It's an ongoing lesson in discovery, the value of good discovery. It is the story of Mind the Product, some of the bits that I enjoyed and the journey that I wanted to share. But also, it's intended to be a blueprint for people who organize communities. If we look around the world today, we see a dystopian society. Polarization is on the increase. People who believe this or this and do not meet anywhere in the middle. That's not healthy for society. From behind a keyboard, it is very easy to be opinionated and to be rude and to step back and not learn. When you're face to face with somebody else in person, you tend to engage with more politeness, more courtesy. You take time, you discuss, you learn. Humans are better together. So the book is in part a blueprint to help other people to build those kind of communities where more people can come together, engage with one another, and society as a whole can move forwards.
Yes, it's going to be uh, a path breaker in terms of for communities And I already see some great reviews about the book. We keep on talking about it. So, yes, can't wait to get my hands on the book.
Yeah, it's on Amazon. There is paperback or Kindle versions. I will do an audiobook at some point, but I haven't got there yet.
I'm sure it would be.
So, James, you also emphasized that communities are also business assets,
Mhm.
not just social groups, right? Like, then can you also give an example that helped you to create this mind shift um, from social groups?
Fundament Yeah, it's the value of being able to learn from people in that environment where they're discussing together. If you as a business are building for that group and you can listen to their discussion, you can learn so much more than you could from a survey. People start to get into the detail. If I were, I'm looking at writing another book at the moment. The next book will be for businesses, SaaS vendors in particular, who want to build communities. And the working title that I have is Seed to Synergy. The idea that you can move from seed to synergy by listening more carefully to your customers, by gathering them around you, learning how they're using your product, learning about their complaints, what problems they have, what they're trying to solve. Seed to synergy. In that way, community is absolutely a business asset because you can learn far faster and create loyal advocates and ambassadors.
Can't wait for it to come out.
Yeah, I think that will be a super big hit because in com- our communities now, like in product tanks and all, we do listen to different company leaders that they would want to have such meetups with their own customers. With something that product tank is able to do, I think your book would help these businesses to really.
I hope so. And I think not only product tank, but also communities and business, especially with the SaaS movement. It has become you know important for every business to have a community. In fact, I kind of was speaking to one of my friends in San Francisco, and then he kind of coined a term, told me a term that you've got sales-led growth, you've got marketing-led growth, and now you should focus on community-led growth.
Absolutely.
Communities are a good way for your business to because there's less you know less money required for retention. Communities have a better acquisition rate, and then there is less churn. So I'm assuming when from seeds to synergy, we can definitely you'll
Absolutely.
cover some of these topics.
For sure.
Yeah. So just building on that, and then um, you and maybe deep diving into that. So you definitely talk a lot about monetization and community building.
Mhm.
How can communities generate revenue without losing their core values? You build product tank, you build mind the product, and we're seeing so many big communities coming up. So
And the first
yeah,
question is it starts with that discovery to understand what the community actually want, what they care about, what problems and pain points they have. And if you can understand, hey, here's a shared pain point. Most of our community seem to have this problem. There is almost certainly a company trying to answer that problem. Right there is a partnership waiting to happen.
yeah,
It's about choosing those partnerships carefully. So, with Mind the Product, when we first started in London, for example, product management was exploding as a discipline. Recruiters everywhere wanted to get involved in Product Tank, but we were
mm,
particularly choosy. There were 2 or 3 recruiters maybe that we liked, that we felt had good reputations and that were good for the industry as a whole. There were also some recruiters who didn't have such a good reputation. So we were very choosy about those that were able to get involved in the community, and they in turn rewarded us by saying, "Thanks for having us along this evening. Let us cover the cost of refreshments."
Was Sam Green a prevent for one of those people?
He was indeed. Sam has become a close friend since those days, and the battle over the last year. Um, he and his business partner Nick have been incredible supporters. And that T-shirt that you mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
that was from Sam and Nick.
Wow. Uh, he was a wonderful person, and interesting.
They started as commercial partners for Mind the Product, but those two especially have become very close personal friends.
Yes, I kind of admire how you've been able to connect people, and that a lot of my network in London is thanks to James. He's introduced me to amazing people. Sam being one of those. Yeah.
Connecting good people is its own reward. This is something that I very much believe is that karma does its best work when it's in motion.
Mm.
If I'm connecting good people to other good people, good karma is out there happening. Some of that one day will find its way back to me, and that'll be great. Don't sit and wait for it. Just get on and connect to the next good person.
That's it. We also like I completely think so that it's giving forward and giving forward
Absolutely. Yeah.
finds its way to you.
It does.
James is a big giver.
So James, like because you said about partnership, about monetization, have you also seen kind of a blueprint on that as well, like some kind of a framework that communities can use? If let's say if they're starting out today, like, is there a structure that you have in mind or a roadmap kind of a thing?
No, I haven't done that so much. With Mind the Product, we were learning as we went, so some of those lessons are included in the book, but I didn't go so far as to define a framework. Maybe that's something I can look at for another edition.
Yeah.
I believe every successful book has a second edition, so I do have some notes somewhere. If I go around and write a second edition, what goes in? I think this goes in, so thank you.
Well, I think there should be a trilogy.
I think trilogy is not a big head. Like you have part one, part two, part three. At least in India, we do have it as a big hit. James, like earlier today, you also discussed about how different tools were used when you were forming product tanks and mind the product. Um,
Hmm.
and in today's world, technology plays the biggest role in scaling. What are, in your opinion, must have tools if we were to start all over to build this community, scale the community?
Yeah, there is no perfect answer to that
Mhm.
in the current world, which is one of the reasons I'm looking at building something with Rodeo. Um, but I would encourage you, in the first instance, to think about the audience you want to attract and where they currently live. For example, if they all live on Slack, but you decide it's going to be WhatsApp, you're going to struggle. If they live on WhatsApp, but you decide it's going to be on Telegram, you'll struggle. So I would start by doing that good discovery and say, where do the people that we wish to attract currently live? If they all happen to use one common tool, look at how you can use that. The more you expect
Yes.
people to change their habits to suit you, the slower acquisition will be.
So should we expect an organic scaling in that manner? Because let's say WhatsApp is the place where most of our users live, or the communities live. And we found this. And what's the next step then? Like, do you see it evolving organically?
I think there's going to be some organic. I do think there's going to be some evolution in the WhatsApp tooling. I'm seeing more and more communities explode in that place. There's more and more depth of information in those chats, and yet there is no export for those conversations. On the one hand, that's good because it keeps those conversations nice and private. On the other hand, there is so much information in those chats that has value as data. I suspect that will change at some point. I don't see there being that much value of data remaining locked up forever. Someone's got to find a way to bring that out into the open. As a good friend of mine said to me a few years ago, James, the thing to understand about any platform, any messaging environment, any data store is that data wants to be free and APIs like to be paid for.
Yes. Well, Satyan, you've been talking a lot about scaling communities, data. I'm kind of a small guy, a small person, who's just trying to start out. I want to host a small meetup. I want to start with my first few meetups and see does it hold enough water. But at the same time, oh, what is it that one thing that I should do good so that that one small focus so that we have long term success. What is that one
If you
thing?
if you've got a thing where you think you can build a meetup and start growing that thing, I'm going to bet that you know half a dozen other people that you share these interests with.
Okay.
So get them in a room together and workshop it.
Yes.
So your guiding vision will start to emerge when you get 5 or 6 people in the room who all have a strong interest in the same thing. Start talking about it. How do we like to consume content? How do we like to come together? Which platforms do we like to use for messaging? Which sponsoring partners might we find acceptable versus which might we find distasteful? Your guiding principles will start to become clear very, very quickly.
I
Just created a framework. I think, James, you just created a framework that we can use. Uh,
okay, Satya has created another framework.
I'm a very visual person, so I keep
Likewise.
working.
Yeah, no, same. I often say that people say to me, "What's your superpower?" Um,
Um,
this year, my superpower has been survival, but in previous years, I would say my superpower is that I tend to join dots in a way that other people don't see, and it's because when we talk about the larger model and the larger concept, I see it visually, and then the dots start to join up in my brain. Yeah,
uh,
I'm a very visual person too.
Connecting the dots.
Absolutely.
The dots also leads to mythical creatures, right? Like, so there's one question I have, or a discussion, Amit, please also do join because also the OG of product tank in India. So, what is one myth about community building that you wish could debunk, or a one? Yeah, go ahead, James.
Coming from Hollywood, are you familiar with the film Field of Dreams?
Yes.
It's a baseball movie about building a baseball field, the Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. This does not apply to community building. It does not go to from zero to a million in a year or two. People often look at Mind the Product and say, that became a huge success and you did it in such a short time. Yeah, we did it in 10 years.
Yes.
Just because you build it doesn't mean they'll come. You have to be more thoughtful and considered than that, which is why I talk about starting with 4 or 5 friends where you have shared interests. Come into a room together. If we were to gather like this every month and add more people, what would good feel like?
Yeah.
Then you start to understand your guiding principles and you start to build something that might scale to more than just 5 or 6 people.
In a way, we doing that, Satya? We bringing our friends, bringing people who we admire, uh, people like James to this TPC, and yeah, let's see how it feels, how it goes, where it goes, and see if people like these conversations.
Delighted to be involved in anything
Yeah.
that takes this path.
So, in today's world, where digital connections are everywhere, how do we have this whole real secret of people coming together, meaningful, lasting community. You've got, I have about 5,000 friends on Facebook and equal number on LinkedIn. But then it is, at least for me, it's been those meetups with 40 or 50 people max where I get to
Mhm.
meet everyone and you know talk to them and see what they're liking, what they're disliking. That's that's where I get my kick from. But how do you spread this that hey, digital connections are okay, but then we need to have community and should probably meet in person?
I think there is a clue from nature. You have two ears, one mouth. That is a ratio. It is also a user guide. If we listen twice as much as we speak, the connections improve, the connections become stronger.
Yes,
If you speak too much, what you have there is an audience, not a community.
true.
Absolutely. You nailed it, James. So if listeners can take just one more lesson, uh, especially from your book, Meetups to Millions, what do you hope it is?
The art of listening and discovery. Actually asking
Mhm.
attendees, members, customers, ask them what they want. Ask them what keeps them awake at night. Ask them what they're struggling with. Ask them how you can be of service.
Wow. It's how you can be of service and uh, that's a true giver and then somebody you give with open arms, James, and you've been somebody who's been looking ahead in now. We've seen your journey now in the past hour. We've kind of uh, talked about your journey from being developing the first Java development team in Europe to creating Mind the product, then now Romeo. What does excite you most about and being a community person all along? So what does excite you most about the future of this communities, entrepreneurship? Where are we heading?
Well, I think in answer to this question, I'm going to invoke one of the most famous names in tech today. We are all familiar, I believe, with Sam Altman, founder of OpenAI. Sam was interviewed on Reuters TV recently. I forget the exact phrasing, but the question was something like, in an AI future, what is safe? What jobs are safe? Where will people still be employed? Sam's response was, the future is premium in-person experiences. Sam, they're called events. They're already here.
Yes.
In a future where nobody knows if you're a bot,
True.
the idea of being a real human that you can connect with is important. So I ask you, is this really James? Or is this a deep fake? Did Amit write these questions? Or did GPT? Events are the one place you can be sure are human. I'm Team Human.
Yes. Team Human here too.
I am excited at the rise of AI and how much it can do for us. For example, it will make medical research go so much faster. That's already happening. AI is wonderfully exciting. But humans are better together. What happened when lockdown was lifted? We all went running back to events.
Yeah.
Humans are better together. AI is going to do that as well. It's going to increase the level of interest that we have in communities and events and be together. So I'm excited for that.
True. We're all excited for communities. I believe that AI is going to be a big part of our future and so our communities.
Absolutely.
James, this has been an incredible conversation. What's one final advice that you would like to give our listeners who are listening today?
I'm going to go with if you're in search of resilience, whether that's as a founder or in a life threatening medical battle, don't lose your sense of humor.
Yeah.
You opened this show by saying at some point you explore these topics with wit. I agree. Certain amount of humor can go a long way. For example, going through treatment, I would go into the radiotherapy lab every week for radio treatment. It was unpleasant in the extreme. They're not the happiest places to be. So I made it my mission to at least make the nursing staff smile. I would walk in there with lines like, "Good afternoon. I am this afternoon's house special. Please serve medium rare." We must not take ourselves too seriously. That is hard with world politics as they are today, but keeping a smile on your face goes a long way.
Yeah, that's very inspirational. Um, that's a wrap. And for those of you who want to dive deeper into James' insights, grab a copy of Meet Up to the Millions. You can find it on Amazon and or in bookstores in UK. And if you're building a community or scaling one, let us know what's resonated with you today. Connect with us on LinkedIn, Twitter, or our podcast page, or yeah, uh, at one of the community